Okay. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Edward, and today we're going to continue discussion about being an empath. And one day I will get used to how this is sort of off center because the camera's on one side, this is on the other side. Whatever. Anyway, here we go. I do operate in the world as an empath, and I was an empath before I even knew what an empath was. I was psychic in ways that I didn't even understand that was being psychic. I was a medium like when I was a child, and I think this is the first time that I'm even saying that, because I didn't really know what any of that was. I was very much a loner growing up. Excuse me. Necesito café. I need my coffee. I'm learning Spanish, so sometimes I just say things in Spanish just to say things in Spanish. Anyway, moving on. I was growing up and thinking, well, like I said, I was a loner. There was a lot of, there was a lot of like stuff going on in the house where I grew up, right? And you can say that I was depressed. I refer to it as oppressed. What goes on in this house stays in this house. That was a message. So I had a very, you might call it an active imagination. My therapist calls it, there are many different ways to be, to dissociate. There's not just like one or two. There are like many different ways, I guess. And I'm only just trying to explore that. So, but I didn't really understand that where I was going to in my head was talking to people who were passed over, or whoever my guides were at that time, and having conversation with them, right? I had no idea that that's what any of that was. And today, April 3rd, 2023, is the first time that I am acknowledging any of that. So, I usually tell a story like, there was all this crap that happened, and things were starting to come out of my subconscious, and rather than allow that to happen, I started drinking and getting high. And so that basically like saved my life. But then in the end, of course, it's drinking and getting high, so it wants to kill you. So I stopped that, and all of this stuff started coming back. And even though I was drinking and getting high, I was still an empath. Things for me, it's like it did not shut down, it did not shut off. I still don't even know how to do that. I would be out in a club and somebody would be staring at me or looking at me, whatever, and like over there, and I would turn and I would like look at them because I could feel somebody looking at me, and I would know things about people just randomly, right? Like, I'm not going to go into detail about any of that, but it's like I would just know things about people and not give it a second thought. It's like, well, this is just how this is. And, I like looking at them and I would just think of it as something about their physicality that made me believe this. But the reality is that, it was just a psychic impression that I had. And it was looking at certain things that would trigger those thoughts or those mental images, because I didn't really understand that I was clairvoyant at the time. So being an empath is like feeling what other people feel. Like, that's like one aspect of being an empath. Okay. There are different aspects that happen with people who are empathic, which we're going to get into. Promise. But I'm doing this video because Spirit has been prompting me to do this video. And so doing this video is, as I'm finding out today with the rest of you, that doing these videos is a way for Spirit to have communication with me, because I'm giving information, or they are giving information for you. We are giving information to you. And so there are different ways that they're allowing me to acknowledge things about my own self, my own psychic ability, and at the same time helping you to understand who you are, because that's really what, well, for me, that's what this is about. For those in the spirit realm, they're here to be able to help all of us, right? So, so yeah, there's all of that. And these days, my psychic ability it has increased. And so they're like right here in my ear. So yes, your psychic ability can increase. It will increase. I do a lot of meditation. There's a lot of things that I do, which I won't get into right this minute. Legal things to increase my psychic ability and to be more connected in that way. So anyway, yeah, I tend to get sidetracked because they are giving me information, and then I am honoring what it is that they're saying and telling you what it is that's happening. This is all real time. I don't edit these things. So yeah. So anyway, that's why I tend to go off on a tangent sometimes. You can call it ADHD. You can call it whatever it is you want to call it. However, what I am now identifying it as is that Spirit is giving me information, and so it's sort of like an interruption, and then I process internally what the information is that I am receiving, and then I move on. So there's a very strong possibility that if you do have ADHD or ADD, that that is something that could be going on with you. Just an FYI, something for you to explore. So anyway, just because I didn't know that I was psychic, that I am psychic, that I was psychic at that time, in my teens, late teens, um, middle school years, 5th grade, 6th grade, 4th grade, like I was in elementary school out on the playground, and like being by myself and kind of entertaining myself out on the playground. And so even then, all this time. And so even though I didn't know that this was happening, and especially, people think that, oh, like you're drinking, you're getting high, you're medicating yourself, right? It doesn't mean that this stuff isn't going on, right? What I know is that there are a lot of people who are in psych wards who are actually very psychic and mediums talking to people who are passed over, and they don't know that that's what that is, and doctors don't understand what that is, and they want to medicate for that, and they want to say people are bipolar, they want to say whatever it is that they want to say, and so these people are there, and it doesn't really stop it from happening because it's not a medical issue. I was on Neurontin for a while for anxiety. It's supposed to be for neuropathy, right? And they put me on it for anxiety, right? And I went off it, didn't really do anything because I'm an empath. That's how I operate in the world. And so the anxiety was not from me. It was from, I was living in downtown Boston, right? Or hanging out in downtown Boston. I was living in the city. And so, how much anxiety is there in the city, right? So, so I have no business living in the city. So there's that, right? So being an empath is like one aspect, right, of, back up. Feeling what other people feel is one aspect, and this is really what I'm trying to get at in this particular video, right? So being an empath, feeling what other people feel, but it's also feeling things that go on in a space, right? Things that have already happened in a space. I've been to places where there have been gang violence, where there have been, battles, where there has been abuse that has gone on in people's houses, right? And it's not happening there now, but it has happened. And so that energy is still there, right? Whether it's an outside place or an inside place. I was at a place in Boston. They redid the area. It was nice looking. There are now tennis courts there. There's like playgrounds for the kids. There's just open spaces to just hang out. Baseball courts, basketball courts, these things, right? However, the energy of this past gang violence is still there. Like, I've gone there and I've had visions. Sometimes what happens is that I time trip, is what I refer to it as. It's like I go back in time psychically and I see what has happened in this space previously. And so it can look all nice, neat, and pretty. You can paint it, you can cover it up, right? But if you don't clear the energy, that stuff is still there, and it can still affect people who are going there today, especially if people are sensitive to different energies, right? Um, so I used to work at this place where downtown Boston, and a lot of, like, I went there, I was working as a psychic, and the place had been, it was like Boston's oldest tea room, basically, and second oldest in the country. So there were a lot of readings that had happened in that particular place. The business changed like three different hands, and so the energy of the people who had readings there, all that stuff was in the walls, and there was a lot of messed up stuff that happened with the people who were actually working there, and that stuff was in the walls. And um, so yeah, and so that stuff is never going to come out. It's like so embedded, so deeply embedded. It's a part of the building at this point, right? And yeah, that is something that will never be cleansed. Not that it can't be, it's just that no one is going to, it's going to take a lot of people, a lot of psychic energy to kind of clear that space out. So, nobody's going to be putting that much energy into that space, into that building, especially because it is like right downtown Boston, and which has its own kind of chaos and whatever. There was a club in that building when I was working there, so all of that stuff going on there, and so it just perpetuates it, right? So yeah, so you can feel, an empath feels things across time, is what we're getting at with this particular portion of the conversation, right? Is that you can feel things from the past that has been like embedded in a place, and how all of that is going on. However, as a psychic, as an empath, we also feel things that are coming, feeling things from the future, right? Um, so, and those things, um, they're not always, they don't always make sense with the experiences that are happen in the present time, right? Because being in the here and now, if you're not psychic, you can't see how things are going to unfold, right? So how can you say that this thing is going to take place if you don't know all of the moving parts, as I call it, right? I've seen things about people, and it's like you're talking about, it's a low battery. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. It's still going. The video stopped for a second, so sorry about that. Yeah. So I've said things to people, this is going to happen. They're like, how is that happening? Right? It's like, because you're talking about this individual and this individual, right? However, you're not aware that this individual is interacting with 20 other people over here, right? Other, like, say it's at two people at work, right? So you're not aware that this person is also interacting with maybe 5 or 6 other people at work, and also whatever it is that's happening in their family life at home with their friends, socialization, out on the streets, right? And so You don't know how those things are going to change a person if they're watching YouTube videos, right? So all of that stuff is affecting what is happening with this individual, and then they're now here, right? And this one over here is out doing the same thing, talking to other people at work, other people in their family life, right? And so this stuff is going on, and so it's going to affect the relationship between these two people, right? So as an empath, you can say, oh, there's this energy that's going on between these two people, and I'm watching this thing happen with these people. And you can say, well, I don't know how that's going to happen. It's like, well, I can't explain like in detail. I just know, because in order to explain it in detail, you have to be able to explain all of this other stuff that's happening with this one. You have to explain all the other stuff that's happening with this one. And we don't, as somebody that is a psychic, we don't always get to see all of the little moments that add up to this future event, right? It's like we don't, I see something that is happening in the course of like the next month, right? Like something that's happening like a month down the road, right? And to explain that moment, it's like as a psychic, I get brought to that moment in time where this thing happens. And in order to explain that, I would have to explain every moment between now and that next month, right? And I don't always get all of those details, right? I get this, you want to know about this thing, this is what I see, right? So that's what that is about, right? And an empath is something that feels things, right? So I feel things with my heart, right? However, like as an empath, the more open your heart is, the more you're able to experience empathic things in the world, all right? However, as an empath, I feel things on my skin, right? Your skin is the largest organ in your body. People don't really think of the skin as an organ. However, medically, it is an organ. And so yeah, like I like sometimes when I am experiencing something empathically, psychically, like it's a visceral effect, right? And sometimes I get the information and my guides protect me from the information, right? So they don't always like show me the images. I don't always feel the things because it could mess me up, right? Psychologically, emotionally. And so I get protected from those things. So I may hear things because one of the things that happens is that I am clairaudient. So empaths like feel things. Clairvoyance is to be able to see things clearly. We see the reality of a situation. And clairaudience is to hear things clearly. So I have all of these things that go on. And there's a lot happening in my head right now. Conversations that I've had with various clients. I have been doing this for over 30 years now. And things that my guides are telling me about, and just a lot of like processing right now. And so yeah, sometimes it is difficult to do a video when for you, the viewer, you see me sitting here and one person, right? For me, as a psychic, being this psychic, who I am, not just any psychic, but me as a, like, I deal with what I refer to. I used to refer to it as an entourage. I used to refer to it as like the collective. Um, I'm not really sure how to describe it anymore because I have my ancestors who are hanging around me, and the other day there were like 7 of them. That amount can change on any given day. But I also work with what you might call the collective unconscious. There's there's a whole group of people out here who give me information, and so that the person that is bringing the information to me, that can change on any given day. Most recently, there is a woman here. She's like very lovely, funny. I think she tries to make me laugh. I think that's probably why she was appointed. However, I think that she's been passed away for a very long time. I'm sure that she does not look her age. So she's telling me that she is helping me to love who I am. That is like her mission these days. So we're doing a big healing process. And as somebody that has been an empath basically my whole life, I have literally like come to the world through the womb being that. And so, yeah. It's been a ride, people. It's been a ride. So if you are an empath, I was watching a YouTube video a little while ago, and somebody was talking about, I was watching a psychic, and they were talking about shutting it off. I'm like, how does that happen? I literally have no idea how to shut it off. My psychic ability is never off. I refer to it sometimes as there's a dial that I turn to, like fuzziness. However, the people are always right here and always available, always like, here. So, yeah. If you do have an ability to shut it off, good for you. If you can't shut it off, join the club. Right? As somebody that is an empath and, feeling things on your skin, and, I do want to be a part of the world, so I can't shut my heart off, right? If I shut my heart off, if I close it down because of whatever trauma I've experienced in the world, right, then that's not going to help me to be social in the world, right? It's like causes depression. It causes like more things to be medicated, more health issues, more all of that, right? And I'm like creating experiences. I'm creating space to be free in the world. So that's what we're here for. That's part of what this process is all about. So yes. So these are just some of the things that happen as an empath, right? And so if you're getting a reading from somebody who is an empath, um, just be aware that, you know, we may not be able to explain the hows and whys of the things that we're seeing, because we're not always shown, you know, the whole story, right? It's like we're shown this is what it is that you have to know for this moment, right? And or we're being given this information about this particular relationship, this particular experience, right? And um, if you're going to get a reading from somebody, right, just know that that person is not a magician. I'm just being reminded of this thing, right? As an empath, we do very well with knowing positive and negative things about relationships, right? So, you know, if you're looking for relationship information, an empath is the person, right? Not that other psychics can't, you know, it's just as an empath, it's like we feel things on that level. So there is that. But I'm just being reminded this woman came to me and she had already set up this event that was going to take place, right? Came to talk to me after the fact. Rented this space, all this stuff, right? And wanted information then about how to manage that experience, right? Is this thing going to happen? Is it going to be successful, right? And so my response was that yes, it could be successful. Is there, and I did specifically say, is there a way that you can have it on this date, right, instead? And she was like, no, I already have this time booked and this space booked, and I can't get my deposit back. And so Spirit showed me several different ways. We did several different readings, and there was a lot of potential for this thing to be successful, right? And just because it didn't work out for her, she decided she was going to blame me, right? That I was wrong, right? And it's like, I wasn't wrong. It's just that she was not following directions, right? She was not taking the opportunities that she could have taken in order to make it successful, right? She decided that she wanted to limit the attendees. She wanted to limit, like the devil card to me in the tarot is about limitations and restrictions. It can be other things, yes. This is entirely true. To me, it is more about like self-imposed limitations. So if somebody is imposing their own restrictions, then that's on them. That doesn't have anything to do with me, right? I tell people what I see, and I can give suggestions about things. I can feel how things are going to be, right? And I can feel that this thing was going to be, or it had potential, right? It has the potential to be successful. Not that it will be successful, it could be successful. And so I was offering several different ways that this could be successful. And I don't know what happened, but I started like that whole experience went on, and then a few months later, I started feeling things about this person, and um, I sent a text message to them, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going through this thing, but I don't think that you can help me." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." Right? And it's because this woman set herself up for failure previously, right? And then wanted to blame me that I wasn't being accurate, that I wasn't able to do what she wanted me to do. Um, so, if you're going to see a psychic and you want to know about a specific thing, ask questions beforehand, not after you're already in the middle of something, all right? It's like, because after that, we can't change what you have already set in motion, right? So there's that. And so if you are in a relationship with somebody, if you are doing something with somebody, um, and you are operating as an empath, if you feel something about somebody, it's really important that you trust that information, right? One of the things about being an empath also is that I can tell if somebody is lying to me. I may have to stop this uh, because it keeps saying like low battery. Um, so anyway, I can tell if somebody is lying to me. It's like, because a lie has a certain vibration to it, right? And it like, I can feel it as they are saying it. It's like when it hits my eardrum, right? It just sounds different than a truth, right? And it doesn't matter whether the person believes this to be true or if it is just not true, right? It's like the person can think that they are telling the truth, right? However, if it is a lie, it's still a lie, right? And it doesn't mean the person is lying, it just means that the information is not true, right? So when they're saying something to me, it just feels off, right? It's like, something in my head, it just doesn't sit right, right? And sometimes I'll tell the person, something about this is off, right? And, you know, they don't want to believe that it's an untrue, right? Um, because they feel like I'm attacking them, right? They think that I'm being confrontational, right? And I'm not necessarily being confrontational, aggressive, right? It's just that it doesn't sound right to me, so I'll ask questions about it, and they don't know how to defend it, right? Because they only have the information that they have, and they don't have all of the information, and so that's fine, right? I'm not attacking, I'm just asking because I have this thing, right? And so just be aware of it, right? um, Check into it, right? Be open for an escape plan or something, right? It doesn't have to be about a relationship that you're in. It can, well, anytime you're interacting with another person, that's a relationship, right? So we're not just talking about like boyfriend girlfriend relationships, boyfriend girlfriend, right? We're not just talking about those kinds of relationships. We're talking about anybody that you are interacting with. um, all of these things are relationships. So if something doesn't feel right, right, the person can act really nice, right? I don't care how nice they're acting, right? Or I don't care how nice they are, right? The person that you're interacting with, they could actually be really a good person, right? That doesn't mean that the thing that you're doing with them is going to turn out well, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Right? So, you know, you don't always know what somebody's motivation is, you know, and you just have to pay attention to how you feel about something. And if something feels off, I don't care if this is your best friend, I don't care if it's your mother, right? Um, I'm just going to leave that over there. I don't care if it's somebody that you love. I don't care if it's somebody that loves you, right? You can have like the most amazing relationship. If something feels off inside, it is something that you have to honor that within you, right? Because if you don't, you will get messed up, and it is better to not get yourself messed up rather than, go forward with something, and then if that relationship falls apart, right, because you were taking care of yourself, right, it's better that you do that, right? There can be other relationships that show up in your life, whatever, but you do have to take care of yourself, because other people are not always looking out for you, right? So anyway, you take care of you in your life, right? It's something that I have had to learn the hard way over the course of being on this planet for almost 62 years, right? Um, I've started a more in-depth healing process for myself, and a more stringent recovery process for myself. Um, not so much recovery from like drugs and alcohol and stuff, but recovery from trauma, recovery from narcissistic people, recovery from, um, you know, life, people, experiences, and recovery from my own acts of sabotage, right? Because Spirit has told me, no uncertain terms, do not go there. I am nosy. I went there and had a rough day. Right? And the first time that this happened, um, Spirit said, don't go there. And they don't really tell you why, right? Don't go there, right? It's just, don't go there. And that's all you need to know, right? Really, is what I've come to find out, is that that's all you really need to know. Don't go there, right? And so just don't. Right? So at the end of the day, I was at home, I was sitting there, and I was talking to them, not expecting anything, and I said, like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I'm new at this, and just be patient with me. And their response, it was a booming voice, right? It was like, we are patient with you, you be patient with you. All right, so that is the message, right? um Spirit is patient with you, but you have to be patient with yourself. There's a lot of like learning experiences that are happening in this world, right? And you know, I am somebody who, this is my first time on this planet, and other people, they may have reincarnated here before. This is my first time on this planet, and so I'm still learning all of this. So, um, if that's you, or maybe it's your second or third time, maybe it's your 100th time, but we reincarnate like many, many, many times, right? Like continually. So, you know, be patient with yourself, people. Be patient. You know, give yourself a break. Stop attacking yourself. Learn to love you, right? Everybody's like, oh, like, love your fellow man, love, like, whatever, right? But it's like, love you, right? Take care of you. you know, don't don't hurt yourself at the expense of other people, right? That, you know, people, like, you can be a nice guy, but like, or nice girl, whatever, woman, but you have to take care of yourself, because if you don't, people can use that against you, right? They'll like see you a mile away, right? And I'm not saying like, you know, be jaded. I'm not saying, um, you know, be a cynic, right? I'm saying to honor yourself, right? Honor your feelings, right? If something doesn't feel right, honor that about yourself, right? Honor that about, like, you don't have to be religious, right? But like, honor your guides, that they're giving you this information to help you, right? So if somebody is trying to help you, let them help you, right? Because it's not always like, like your family. It's not always, your teacher. It's not always like your friends. It's not always like that, right? Like, spirit is always trying to help you. There's always help available to you, but you have to be open to that help, right? Um, and I don't care if other people want to call you crazy, right? That is manipulation, right? That is just them, this expression, go with the flow, right? People don't really understand what that is, right? People want to say go with the flow as a way of saying, like, go along with the pack. Don't make noise. Don't make waves. Don't, right? Just, that other thing, it is what it is, right? That's another bullshit term. You have to go with your flow, right? Where is your spirit leading you, right? Everything can work out for you in like really great ways if you're honoring yourself, right? If these other people want to call you crazy, right, because you are trying to take care of yourself, because you are honoring yourself, those people, they are not your friend. And I don't care. Like, I treat my family the same way that I would treat anybody else, right? If those people want to say that I'm crazy, and they have, so be it, right? You don't have to be in my life, right? Like, I'm good with that, because I have to honor myself, and I've had to learn this experience, right? So we are just here in this video trying to help you to understand who you are on this planet, your spiritual self, and it's very emphatic the way that they are coming through with this message, right? I can feel the intensity, because there are some people who are going to be watching this video who are really having a difficult time with this particular thing, right? They really want to be a part of their family. They really want to, get along. They really want to, be good with their friends, right? They really want to, these are my friends, right? Like, these are my friends. Like, they're my crowd, right? They're not your ride or die, right? They're not. Right? If they were your ride or die, they would be honoring your feelings. They would be accepting of your feelings. They would be like, okay, like, you don't want to go, like, don't go. Like, you know, we'll be back later, something, blah, 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 right? Like, you do you, right? Like, or they'd be like, you know what, like, if you're not feeling this, then, you know, we can go do something else with you, right? Right? So, yeah, you have to take care of you. It's really important. And we really think that there are people